Welcome to the Protagonist Pub. My name is Tammy, and this is where characters gather. So, today I'm going to kick off the great content debate. Authors, I have absolutely no qualms about recommending. That does not mean I think this author, any of the authors in this series, are going to be for every reader. I know that's not going to be the case. And I also know it's impossible for that to be the case. And the best I can do as a lifelong reader, as a lover of stories, as a avid reader, is recommend authors that write stories that, despite content you may find objectionable, stand up on their own 2 feet. And that is literally my litmus test for any book. If, something isn't working for me in a book, is that something pivotal to the story being told? Or is it, something off to the side that if I don't pay attention to, the story proceeds without issue? And if I recommend an author in this series, then they will all meet that same litmus test. Does not mean they all have the same kind of content in their books. It does not mean they're all in the same genre. It simply means that the stories they tell in their books speak for themselves. And if there's content that is objectionable to you as a reader, it is skippable. And it may not be content you're comfortable with, but the storytelling is superb. So, with that in mind, the first author, as you can probably tell from the thumbnail to this clip, is Mary Kay Andrews. And she has been writing since the early to mid 1990s. She has written under her legal name, and her pen name is Mary Kay Andrews. It is a compilation of her children's names, Mary Kathleen and Andy. And I think that is terrific. In total, she has written more than 20 books. They span from her mystery series. She has Christmas books. But she is best known for her beach reads. And her beach reads span everything from what can be deemed women's fiction to like Summers at the Saint, which had a mystery running through the entire book, and I wouldn't classify it as a women's fiction. So she has a breadth of writing style, and if you don't particularly enjoy one book, you may enjoy another book by her. And she always has these highly relatable, true to life characters that are memorable, and you can either see yourself or friends in your immediate circle in her characters, which is a true sign of an author that has a very good grasp and understanding of human nature. So for me, if I see a Mary Kay Andrews book that I haven't read, I'm going to pick it up. I'm going to enjoy myself. I'm going to either, you know, get a good mystery, get a good cry, fall in love. You know, something about every book hooks her. Hooks me, at least. So I went this morning and pulled all of the Mary Kay Andrews books I have on my shelves. This is not her complete catalog. I have not read any of these books. I think I'm missing one, but I don't know where it is. And none of these will be, well, I can't say that. I'm probably not going to reread any of these, so I will donate them as I complete them. But I love her writing. I love her characters, and you know, if I could, you know, get them all to match like in this size, I would probably keep them all. So maybe I'll keep all the ones that match that size. So let's go over the books I have. So let's do the hardbacks first. There's only 2 hardbacks on my shelf. I thought there's 3 hardbacks on my shelf. I'm having to juggle books because Kahlua is sitting right next to her mama, snuggled up. And all of her books take place in the southern portion of the United States. The vast majority of them take place in Georgia or on an island off the coast of Georgia. And she is a native southerner, and that comes across in her books very clearly. And she, for lack of a better description, she understands Southerners very well. She writes them very well. They're, you know, it is clear that she herself is a Southerner, and there is nothing inauthentic in the way she writes them, which is not always the case. So the first book does not have a flap jacket. That is The High Tie Club. Just a straight up paperback or hardback. This one is from Better World Books. In fact, all 3 of the hardbacks are from Better World Books, and several of the paperbacks as well. I have not read this one, and this one takes place in Georgia. She created a barrier island for this particular story. And like I said, she loves setting stories on barrier islands off the coast of Georgia. And this one undoubtedly has something to do with a yacht club just by the title. And, you know, I will pick this up and devour it. I am most likely reading a Mary Kay Andrews book in August. It's going to be a pure mood read for me in August, so we will see what I pick up. And next up is The Fixer Upper. This is one of the older covers for her. And this one was published in, this is one of her very early ones. This is her 7th book published. This was published in, why do they make it so hard? 2009. And this is, I'll read you a little bit. After her boss in a high-powered Washington public relations firm is caught in a political scandal, fledgling lobbyist Dempsey Joe Kilbrew is left almost broke, unemployed, and homeless. Out of options, she reluctantly accepts her father's offer to help refurbish Birdsong, the old family place he recently inherited in Guthrie, Georgia. All it will take, he tells her, is a little paint and some TLC to turn the fading Victorian mansion into a real estate cash cow. But is Dempsey in for a surprise when she arrives in Guthrie. Bird droppings would be more aptly describe the moldering Pepto-Bismol pink dump with duct tape windows and a driveway full of junk. There's also a murderously grumpy old lady, one of Dempsey's distant relations, who has claimed squatters' rights and isn't moving out ever. So, yes, sign me up. I will read it, I will enjoy it, and I will let you know. So, you know, I love her fiction. I love her fiction. Next up would be Savannah Blues. I think this one is in a series. I don't know off the top of my head. If it is, I will put the name of the series right here and what book number it is. This one was published in 2002. This was one of her very early books. Yep, this one is in her series. It's in the BB and Wheezy series. I think this is the first one. Landing a catch like Ultra Wasp Talmadge Evans III got Eloise Wheezy Foley, a jewel of a townhouse in Savannah's historic district. Divorcing Tal got her exiled into the backyard carriage house, where she has launched a spite fest with Tal's new fiancé, the elegant Caroline de Santos. The War of the Roses has nothing compared to the escalating hostilities between Wheezy and Caroline. Wheezy is an antiques picker who combs Savannah's steamy back alleys and garage sales for treasures when she's not dealing with her loopy relatives or her hunky ex-boyfriend. She is convinced that her troubles will be over if she makes a big killing at the upcoming estate sale at a noble plantation house. I have wanted to read this for a very, very long time. And I may make this an August read. Yeah. This is probably going to be an August read for me. Something about her writing and her characters are just very comforting. And she tells these stories that aren't like other stories she's previously told. Okay, on to the paperbacks. And one of these I have started. That is Spring Fling by Mary Kay Andrews. Obviously, it's by Mary Kay Andrews. It's in this video, Tammy. This is a fairly recent purchase, I believe, or book. I apologize. It is a 12-year-old book. It was published in 2012. So why haven't I read it? Okay, well, I need to read this one. I just talked about this or you haven't seen it yet. It's an upcoming tag. That is Save the Date. I love this cover. Like, no, seriously, I love this cover. I'll read you the back of this one. Up-and-coming floral designer Kara Krazik is about to score the wedding of a lifetime, one that will solidify her career as the go-to girl for Savannah society nuptials. But trouble comes when you least expect it, and in one awful morning it all rains down on Kara. Her most faithful companion, Poppy, has either run away or been dognapped. Her refrigerator is on the blink, turning $12,000 worth of gorgeous blooms into roadkill. And if that's not enough, the supposed dognapper, Jack Finnery, turns up at her latest wedding, refusing to admit he has her dog. But if Kara can pull off the lavish Trapnell Stayhorn wedding, the payday will solve all of her problems. Even the looming one of the celebrated florist named Cullen Kane, who's moving into her turf. The wedding is in 6 weeks, but the bride, Brooke Trapnell, is acting strangely, even for her bride. And her stepmother is becoming Kara's biggest headache. What Kara needs is to focus, which is not easy when annoyingly attractive Jack Finnery is turning up at every wedding in Savannah. The man seems to know everybody, with Kara in his sights and seduction on his mind. When Brooke Tapnell spirals into a shocking crisis and the wedding is in jeopardy, Kara must come to the rescue and figure out what she really believes in. Is it love? Is it her own strength? For everyone, Save the Date will have more than one meaning. So, yeah. I like the tagline on the front. Here comes the florist. There goes the bride. Can love make it down the aisle in time? This is just going to be a good wedding romp story. It's a good June read, so maybe next June I'll read it. Or October, since that's when I got married. And I'm looking forward to it. I really am. It's all about flowers too. There's, it's very much a me book. Next, I have Beach Town. This one I believe is set in Florida. Our heroine is a movie location scout. And this one was published in 2015. Yep, this one's set in Florida. So this one is pretty unique among her books. It is very rare for her to publish a book that is not set in Georgia. And the last one I physically own is Summer Rental. I love this cover. I absolutely love this cover. And this is a true women's fiction story of 4 women. There's a thread of romance in here. And if I recall correctly, this one takes place in North Carolina. Let's see. Yep. This one takes place in North Carolina. So, this one takes place in the Outer Banks. It is very summer evocative. My library has all the other books I don't have. I believe I have Homewrecker somewhere on my list. In my stacks somewhere. Don't know where it is off the top of my head. But the reason I like her is very simple. We all have authors that are comforting and who we know if we pick it up, the chances of us being disappointed in the story we're going to be told is minuscule. And for me, personally, the chance of me not liking one of her books is very close to non-existent. I have loved everything I've ever read by her. I love her humor. I love her characters. I love the emotional impact her scenes can evoke. I love, her romance is almost never, I cannot think of a single time off the top of my head that it's insta-love. I also adore the fact that her characters are not in their 20s and that she writes about mature women and they're usually later in life, late 30s, 40s, 50s. They're going through things. They have life experience. They're not fresh out of college and naive and haven't, really experienced the world. All of her characters have life experience. All of them have, are going through struggles or have struggles, and they are people you can relate to, and they're emotionally complex without being trite and predictable. And that takes skill, and that takes understanding of a human, and it takes time to get that, and that comes with experience. And these may be stories more appropriate for an older reader, because you will have much more in common with her heroines and their circle of friends and what's going on in their lives. I appreciate the fact that if I pick up one of her books, I'm not going to have a, 23, 25-year-old filled with angst and has gone through nothing in life and just thinks it should all just magically land in her lap. I am very appreciative of the fact that that doesn't happen in her books. And the reason I am so comfortable recommending her as an author, even if it is content that isn't necessarily everybody's cup of tea, is the strength of her storytelling and the humor and the compassion and the love that is in all of these books and in all of the stories she tells. And for me, that's what makes a great book. I don't want a plug-and-play novel, where we slightly change the setting and we slightly change the characters and we churn out 3 or 4 novels a year because we have a formula that we stick to, and it's very easy to do that. These are not those books. These books are all different. They all have their own unique stories to tell. They are not dependent on easily accessible things to tell a story. They are complex in their own right. She also has a cookbook out, which I forgot to mention I don't own, but if I can track down a copy of it, I will absolutely pick it up, because some of the stuff her characters eat sound delicious, and she has written more than one book with characters who cook. And like any good Southern woman, I am sure she is a decent cook. And I love that she has a wide variety of genres to choose from. A cookbook, mysteries, women's fiction, romances that run, threads of romance that run through books. I like that. I like when authors tell me stories. And she always tells me a different story when I pick up a book that I can relate to, that keeps me engaged, that I am willing to stay up very late to finish. Because I just gotta know. I need the tea, I need the resolution, I need the humor, I need it all. And I can pick up one of hers and it's in there. So, I honestly think that her books are worth reading outside your comfort zone. And if you're not comfortable with that, that is absolutely fine. But if you are looking for an author that tells memorable stories and is a quintessential beach read with memorable characters and memorable settings, then I honestly think you will fall in love with her books. And she is my first author for the Great Content Debate series. And if you've read her books, if you're interested, leave a comment down below, like and subscribe, and I will see you here next time at the Protagonist Pub.